Hey guys, this is the first installment in my Intro to Software and App course. Today we're going to be discussing algorithms. So, what is an algorithm? So, an algorithm is a set of very specific instructions that must be followed exactly as given. So, if somebody tells you to do something and they give you a very specific set of instructions, you have to do it to a T. You have to do it exactly as instructed. That's what an algorithm is. A computer will follow an algorithm exactly as it is written. It will do no more and no less. So, for an example, think of the steps you need to bake. So, like you're baking a cake, right? You need to know all the ingredients. You need to know if you need an oven. You need to know if you need like a microwave for any of the ingredients. There are a specific set of things you need and a specific set of steps you need to follow in order to achieve your final product. Thinking algorithmically. So thinking algorithmically means thinking of the steps to a solution as clearly as possible. You want to include every possible step needed to complete a task. Try to think of some processes that require specific instructions, like your morning routine. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Making food. How do you make the food? What do you need for it? Like the baking a cake example I gave earlier. Walking a dog. What do you need? Do you need a leash? Or do you go a specific route? Or your nightly routine. What do you do when you're about to go to bed? Algorithms in a computer. So when it comes to completing a set of instructions, computers are no different than people. You need to know exactly what to do in order to finish a task. So computers take in a set of instructions in order to produce an output. I'm going to use an example with coding. We communicate with computers through a medium called code. This way, a computer can understand the set of instructions we give it. If a computer does not understand the instructions given to it, we call that a syntax error. Syntax is the way you write code. If a computer understands the instructions but fails to provide an output, we call that a logical error. Logic refers to the process of the computer understanding how the code works. So it processes all of that code in an attempt to give you an output. And if it doesn't give you that output or it gives you an error, that's called a logical error. How can we make sure a computer will give us our desired output? We want to use proper syntax. And using proper syntax means knowing a programming language and knowing the methods it uses, knowing the terminology that you need to have, all that kind of stuff. So in order to do this, you want to use resources available to you to check your code. There are code editors out there that will check your code for you. The compiler usually does it for you as well. And you want to have another classmate review your code. So have some people proofread your code, make sure it makes sense. Logical reasoning. Make sure your code makes sense to you. Ask a peer if your code makes sense to them. More importantly, you want to go through the whole thing. You want to make sure that everything works. How can we make sure we understand our own instructions so others may understand them as well? This is the most important thing I'm ever going to say, but leave comments on your code. You want to leave comments everywhere in your code. You want to detail every little thing that you do. It just makes everything so much nicer. Anybody can read it. It's just great. Comments help you understand your own thought process. They help others understand your thought process. And when an organization you work for reviews your code, you want them to understand as clearly as you do. Not everyone reads code the same way. Some people use comments as assistants. Data charts. Flow charts are great. They show the process of your code. They show flow control, how all that stuff works. UML diagrams show how methods work. They're a visual representation of your code. They show the direction and flow of the functions and methods and algorithms going on in your code. That's it. That's the end of the first lesson. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more stuff like this. I'm going to be posting stuff like this probably weekly, but we'll see what happens. See you around.